It takes more than a global pandemic to stop the mighty engine that is the Stadium Journey podcast. Thanks for joining us. Stadium Journey, check us out on our website, stadiumjourney.com. Follow us on our social media channels, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Stadium Journey. HIAC Talk Radio. We're on Twitter at HIAC Talk Radio. Find the podcast at thebradyhicks.com. Look us up on your podcast search engine at VOC Nation. You know, all those podcast aggregators, they all work. What else we got? Follow our podcast live, not tonight, unfortunately, but other times at twitch.tv/DanLaw83 or after the fact at youtube.com/DanLaw83. And we're all here. We're all braving the pandemic to be with you here. We got Dave Cotney. Follow him at ProFan9. Mark Viquez is at Ballpark Hunter. Our producer, Dan Calachico, is at DanLaw83. And I'm Paul Baker. You can follow me at PuckmanRI. And tonight we are joined by Kelly Levy from Obey the Puck to join in our discussion tonight. You might know her as Sked Central. Welcome, Kelly. Or did Kelly not make it through?
Go ahead, Paul.
All right, welcome, Kelly. I didn't hear anything.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Hey, live TV there for you. So tonight, what else would we talk about? There's no sports on, no sports to travel to, but we're going to talk about the topic that's on everybody's mind, the coronavirus. But we're going to follow our usual routine. We're going to talk about our travels for the last couple of weeks, because the next time we all get together, we're probably going to have nothing to talk about except maybe a trip to the grocery store or something. So we'll review where we've been for the last couple of weeks before we jump into our topic. Bless you. Dan, have you been anywhere the last couple of weeks that you want to share with listeners?
Nope.
No, Kelly?
Nope, we haven't been.
You guys are quarantining before quarantining was cool, right?
No, it's just I was working. She was working, and we were just doing our thing. We didn't have anywhere really to go. It was her birthday. We celebrated her birthday, and
happy birthday.
Yeah, she's 21 years young. Oh, Kelly.
Well done. You're not a newbie at this, Dan. I can tell.
No, I'm not.
All right, Mark. Before all sports were suspended, did you get to go anywhere that is worthy of talking about?
Yeah, I actually just posted on the page. I don't know when that's going to come out, but last Saturday, last Friday, I went to the Spartan Bowl, which is one of the iconic high school gyms here in Indiana, sectional time. It's a little over 5,000 seat capacity venue, and it was near packed for the hometown team. Great atmosphere, great vibe. It's situated in the center of residential homes. You can park your car on the street, and you can walk to the arena. And had a great time. The next day, I drove out to Dayton, Ohio, checked out another high school venue called the Vandalia Butler Student Athletic Center. They have the nicest seats of any high school venue. There's cushioned theater seats that overlook both nets and the balcony area. And what's quite a splendid little place to visit. So while I was out there, I checked out some college baseball. I said, why not? We need some updates. So I went to Werner Field, which is the home of the University of Dayton Flyers. And what I noticed with certain ballparks these days, if you're not in the South, you either get some janky-looking ballpark that looks like it would benefit a high school, or you get kind of an updated version that includes a press box, a small little grandstand with some nice seating, and a nice scoreboard. And that's exactly what the University of Dayton had. It was a nice field, kept up very well, perfect for a small crowd of 500, right across the parking lot from the UD arena. Nothing spectacular, though, but not quite what you would find in maybe IU or Purdue, but definitely nothing like you would find at Rider University or Fairleigh Dickinson University back home in New Jersey, or even Bowling Green up in Ohio. So it's kind of one of those in-between ballparks. Not bad, but not great. One highlight, though, University of Dayton was decked out in these red monochrome jerseys. If you think of the Cleveland Indians of the 1970s with the caveman jerseys that were all red, that's kind of what it reminded me of. But the players like them because when you go to college venues, you can talk to players and they'll tell you everything on the top of their head. So on my way back home, I decided to check out University of Miami, Ohio, because I just happened to be 40 minutes away. They had a baseball game. And once again, I got to tell myself that this is one of the quaintest, picturesque little little campuses in the country. I love the Miami University campus. Their ballpark is beautiful. It seats 1,000 people, a little bit more charming than what you have over in Dayton. They serve beer there. They have grass seating. They have better food. And it's right in the smack middle of campus, so you can walk from the campus buildings. And it's about a little less than half a mile away from High Street, which is one of the coolest little spots in town. That's where all the action is. Restaurants, bars, collegiate students, drinking, day buzzing, music, half-yard beers being drank outside on the patios. What a gorgeous little place Oxford, Ohio is. And I need to get out there a little more often because I fell in love with that campus the first time when I visited Dave and his son for a hockey game and when I came back there. So this football season, and hopefully everything is back to normal, and this basketball season coming up, I want to make some trips out there. But little did I know that Saturday night as I was heading back home, that within just a matter of days, the world of sports and the world as we know it changed dramatically. So those are my last four places I visited in a little over a weekend. I mean, in less than 2 days and a weekend. So I don't know when I'm going to be at a minor league ballpark sometime this summer. It could be July, could be August. It could be 2021, but I'm glad I was able to get 2 ballparks in this year. So consider myself lucky.
Yeah, it seems so long ago, doesn't it?
It does.
It's only been, what, a week and a half, like you said.
Yeah. I mean, it was Saturday. I was writing the articles. And then what was it, the 11th, which was last Thursday, or last Wednesday? That's when everything hit the ceiling. NBA canceled, tournament canceled, high school tournament canceled. I was planning on going to the high school tournament this Saturday up in Frankfurt. And the AD actually told me not to come because they were limited the amount of people there, but then that got postponed, which eventually got canceled. So day by day, something new was happening.
Yeah, we'll do our best to track down the timeline in a couple minutes here. I don't even know if we could do it any justice at this point. So much happened so fast.
Yeah.
Dave, how about you? Did you get to squeeze in any travels before everything changed?
Well, let me say that right now I should be entering the Pepsi Center.
I was going to dedicate a whole section to how did this screw us over, and man, you could have gone for the whole hour.
Avalanche Sharks. Yeah, I should be there now. But
do any of you guys have notifications on your phone like oh, Bruins game starting at 7:00? Like, damn it.
Oh, so I put this out there. I don't know if I sent it to you guys. I bought my Avalanche tickets from StubHub, and they sent me the pre-email today. You know, everything you need to know about the Colorado Avalanche game. I'm like, no! In fact, that's not what I need to know because the only thing I need to know was not in the email, that it's canceled.
Here's some salt for you, Dave. Let me pour that in there.
Actually, it's not canceled. That's part of the problem. It's postponed, which is going to make me a little bit worried about getting my money back. But that being said, my travels, I traveled to my den, and I took with me my copy of A Payroll to Meet by David Whitford, the story of SMU in the 80s. So, yeah, that's as far as I went, my den. And I finished it. It was great. And I think I'm going to write a book review on it. So,
yeah, we may have to do to keep some fresh content going on the website, do some book reviews and movie reviews and what have you. We'll have to stretch ourselves out of
Yeah.
our comfort zone.
But yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't go anywhere last weekend, and you know, them's the breaks.
Yeah, it's been tough. I actually also finished a book the other day. I read The Game, which was a retelling of the 1968 Harvard-Yale football game mixed in with the political climate of the time. Very interesting book. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Harvard Defeats Yale 28-28.
I saw that.
Yeah. So it was just going at that game from a different angle, interspersing what the players were going through, because some of the players had actually served in Vietnam and come back. And this is when the protests were coming up and everything. So it was a very interesting read. I had started it when I went out to California on the plane. Wasn't able to finish it. So I just finished it this weekend. I'd recommend it. For me, the last weekend we got to travel, I actually had a pretty busy weekend. On the Saturday, I went up to the University of Massachusetts, caught the home finale for the Minutemen basketball team. They played URI. I don't know if we've talked about the Mullen Center much on here. I don't think we have. It's been a while since I was up there. Mullen Center is a really nice mid-sized arena on campus at UMass Amherst. Seats about 9,000 people. Very modern arena, not too big, not too small. It's got great viewing lines. The only thing about it, you could tell it's a product of when it was built, because the concourse is not an open concourse where you can see the playing area. It's underneath the stands. Whether that's a criticism or not, I don't know. I don't think it's either. That's the way it is. The disappointing thing about UMass basketball crowds is the crowds are very fickle, and with UMass being out in Western Mass, not really near anything. It's about a half an hour from Springfield. So it's really out in the boonies. Unless UMass is doing extraordinarily well, and this goes for hockey and basketball, they don't get big crowds. So I was there for senior night, and it was a crowd of about between 3,000 and 4,000, I think. So in a 9,000 seat venue, seems pretty empty. And the most disappointing part for me was that the student section was entirely empty. There was maybe a dozen to 2 dozen kids in the student section, which is a
Senior
shame.
night?
On senior night, yeah.
Wow.
There were more kids from URI than from UMass that night. But they put on a good show, the band, and they got the cheerleaders, they got the mascot, the dance squad. The newest thing since the last time I was there is they put up this giant video screen over center court. Takes up, I'd say, probably a good 2/3 of the basketball court. And in addition, they have a video board on either end. So these things are all playing the same feed at the same time. So it's kind of like being in a Buffalo Wild Wings. Everywhere you look, there's a TV screen on. Kind of distracting to someone who's just trying to watch the game. But Mullen Center is a nice place if you're in the area. You need a game to go see. UMass is a very nice facility. And then on the Saturday, no, that was the Saturday. On the Sunday, I had a doubleheader. We were actually sweating this one out because the Boston Pride had their semifinal playoff game scheduled at 2:30, and then I had Celtics tickets at 6. So we were hoping, against all hope, that there was no overtimes. The Pride ended up taking care of business, won 5-1, moved on to the Isabel Cup Finals, which got postponed. We'll talk about that a little later, I guess. Then, so we hustled over to the TD Garden, caught the Celtics. I think this ended up being their last game before the NBA shut down. They played Oklahoma City. They ended up losing the game, but that really wasn't important for our purposes. My big takeaway from the TD Garden, because we've talked about it before for the Bruins and the Beanpot, is those seats in the 300 level are still terrible, man. And I'm glad that the plan is to get rid of those and replace them over the summer.
That
So
sounds
that
like
was-
an expensive mistake.
I'm not a small guy, so I'm not even talking width-wise. They're uncomfortable. Just the way that they're supposed to be ergonomically advanced chairs, but as we talked about before, because they put cup holders on the armrests and they put the padding on the rear end and padding on the back, there were a couple times where I tried to sit up straight in the seat and ended up hunking into the guy behind me's knees. You were talking about these seats in Buffalo, Dave. they're not as bad as far as legroom, but they were pretty close. If the guy's knees are right in the middle of my back, we shouldn't be doing that in a major league facility. So that was the TD Garden, and that was my Sunday. And then starting on Wednesday, I don't want to overstate this. I don't want to be too hyperbolic, but all hell started breaking loose, right? I think it started with a trickle, if I'm right. Correct me if I'm wrong.
I'll tell you where it
Yeah,
happened.
go, Dan. Go.
As far as sports goes, we were live on Twitch last Wednesday, HIAC, literally when the news came over that Dick McMunch, Rudy Gobert, that's what I'm calling him, Dick McMunch, test positive.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, tested positive for coronavirus, and they went on to the court to play the game, and then right before ball tip-off, they got him off and stopped the game. What was it, half hour later, they postponed the season. About a half hour later, maybe an hour. And then the next couple days, all the other sports followed. Because when you had Rudy Gobert expose the NBA teams, you're also in the arena. God knows what else he was touching because he thought it was funny to touch everything else in the last week. Idiot.
Yeah, how bad? And he does feel bad because of the stuff he's done. I really think he's been sincere in his apologies. But for those of you who don't know what happened, he put a few days before the season got broken down, he did a press conference, and at the end, trying to just kind of downplay the whole virus thing that was creeping into all our consciousnesses, that he went and made a point to make sure he touched every microphone on the table in front of him. And then, of course, he's the first one to test positive. So, whoopsie. But he's tried to make it better. He pledged, what, $500,000 for workers in his arena?
Okay, don't even get me started on that. Before you go, Dave, he was also apparently messing with people in the locker room and touching everything and everybody.
Right. That's how Donovan Mitchell got positive test.
I'm glad he's sorry. Good for you.
Go
Dave.
Dave.
So I get that he's kind of the scapegoat, but since he tested positive and a number of dominoes fell, there have been plenty of people who have tested positive who I'm sure had zero contact with Rudy Gobert. So
absolutely.
Let me add, if you're going
he's
out,
the first domino, I'll give you that.
If you're going out still and you're not staying at home and you're touching people and you're not doing the social distancing thing, when shit is this serious, and I'm not editing that out, I don't care.
And it's not the media.
It's not the media. It's not Trump. It's not the left. It's not the right. This is very real, and it's here, and you're going to be Italy in 10 days if you don't shut the F up and stay home. You and Rudy Gobert go over on this category over here for being douchebags about it. Tired of, I can't tell you how much. First of all, I can't tell you. Dave, I understand he's sorry, and I'm glad he made amends. And as far as players paying the employees, the owners kiss my ass, pay your employees. You're all billionaires while the world's on fire below you. I know there is a few. We'll get to that in a second. I know the world's on fire below you, but if we die, who's going to do your jobs for you? I'm just saying, that's ridiculous. Number two. I don't understand in this world of social media where everybody's buying up the toilet paper. Okay. And all these things and all this information you can get at the tip of your hands right now, right here, right now, that you can't see what's going on in the rest of the world and just go, I'm going out anyway. And the final thing I'll say until it comes back to me, and I never promised Dave I wouldn't be quiet this week. Never made that promise. The final thing I'll say about in this sentence, and then I'll wait until it's my turn again, is I couldn't tell you how fast sports didn't matter. And I'm not holding it against anybody for caring. I'm not one of those guys on Twitter going, why are you all still talking about the draft? Everybody needs escape. I'm talking about me personally. I miss hockey, but I don't care. I don't care. All the things happened to me personally in this last week with my family that it's just been a double whammy with the world falling apart and all this crap. I don't care. I don't care. Y'all, I'm going to beg everybody listening, if you've been playing nonchalant about this, take care of yourselves. That will take care of others. Stop the bull crap. Grow up. You can't tell me what to do. Oh, they can. And if you don't do it, but suggestively, they're going to make you. You want to
They will.
sit in your house for 3 weeks like Italy and not go anywhere except the grocery store and the pharmacy? Hopefully not die when you go to the pharmacy? Keep being assholes. Good.
Did you get to finish, Dave?
He's blunt but to the point.
Well, I think my point about Rudy Gobert is that he's just the first one we found out about. And
Yeah.
you know, I'm not defending, you know, how he made light of what was going on in the press conference and all that kind of stuff.
But
Hang on. But think about this. If we wouldn't have caught him, right?
There would have been somebody.
Then what happens next? Does it keep? Does the NBA stop at that point? Do they keep going? Do they try this whole, you know, empty building thing? I don't know. But
I listened to this show in Philadelphia called Preston and Steve. They've been talking about this for weeks. It wasn't even a main story. It was on the Bizarre File like 2 months ago, where they were tracking the start of this coronavirus in China only because somebody wanted to have bat soup. Why do I know? Why do the experts tell you, but nobody knows? I'm not that mad at. I'm mad at the situation, and I was trying to call. I called him Dick McMunch to be funny because I'm real mad in general about this whole thing, and everybody should be. But this is not a conspiracy theory. Fox News, MSNBC. People were telling. People heard. People didn't care. Now we are where we are.
well, it didn't help that the leader of Not My Country claimed that the virus was a hoax by the Democratic Party? Or
It will get better when the weather got warmer.
People,
Yeah.
everybody's gonna be fine.
We got great
It's gonna
tests.
be great. I talk like this because I'm a 4-year-old. I don't care. I know certain people who listen to the show will be mad at me.
I've always had money.
Important to me.
That's not a bad Trump right there.
I know.
But we'll try not to play it too politically because then we'll go way off the rails because, I don't know, I think the four of us are pretty similar in our beliefs. But
the experts warned everybody, and not just him, more than one person played this down like it was nothing, and now we are where we are.
right. Yeah, Mark.
I mean, this is just something that I've never had experience in my life. You know, we've heard our grandparents or great-grandparents talk about the Depression. We've heard about the rationing during World War II. People have talked about the Civil Rights Movement, how they, growing up in certain parts of the country, weren't allowed to do certain things. We will survive this, but yeah, we have to listen to the experts now. We can't sit there and say, well, I'm going to go to the beach because it's spring break, or I'm going to go out and celebrate St. Patrick's Day because that's what I've been doing my whole life. You know, this is something that, hey, that can not only save our lives, but our parents' lives or grandparents' lives. My dad's 90 years old. He was supposed to come here from Costa Rica to visit me later on this month. He said, I'm staying here. And he said this before the big outbreak broke out here in the States. He goes, I'm 90. I can't take a chance. And even back then, I'm like, I was kind of indifferent. I was like, well, thank God he didn't come on that plane because who knows where he could be right now. So
Hey,
what
I got to, real quick, Dave, before you go. I actually yelled at my in-laws for the first time in the 15 years I've known them because they came over to our house on Sunday and they said, well, we went out for a ride. We went to this donut shop and then we went to this place and we went to this place. And they're in their late 70s. So I said, aren't you guys taking this seriously? You are the ones who are going to die.
Yeah,
if you catch this. I'm going to be fine if I catch it. You guys should not be doing this. Aren't you listening to the experts?
Yeah, we could definitely make a sacrifice for 2 months. I know it seems like forever, but maybe a year or two from now, we'll look back and say, wow.
Beats the hell out of the alternative, doesn't it?
It does. And you know, it's something most of us have never had to deal with in this country. And it's time we start listening to the experts, whether you believe them or not.
Dave, go
Well,
ahead.
on the plus side here, one of our big issues in my community, it's really ramped up in the last decade, is St. Patrick's Day. There's always this huge street party,
Like everywhere, yeah.
unsanctioned street party. Okay, 30,000 people were at the last one. All kinds of damage, of course, drinking, drugs, whatever. Essential services are all tied up at this party or whatever, and it's been, the mayor of Waterloo has been, it's been probably the top priority what to do about this. Well, since the Premier of Ontario came out and said there are no gatherings more than 50 people, otherwise, that's illegal. Today, the big street party was non-existent in Waterloo, so that was good. In Kingston, however, there were plenty of university students who didn't sound very intelligent when they were interviewed for television, that were
Okay.
going around partying, drinking, whatever.
Damn kids.
Okay, guys. So anyway, it is what it is, and yeah, we all have to do our part, but
Yeah.
we'll see where that leads.
People need to stop being so damn selfish, because it's like, well, I feel great. I'm just acting like I have it, and I'm serious. I'm acting like I have it, and I'm cleaning. I'm not touching 50 things. I've cleaned everything. Mark's dying. I'm cleaning
Got a cough.
everything.
I got a cough. I don't know if I haven't been tested. Who knows?
Is it dry?
What's that?
Is it a dry cough?
No, it's a little phlegmy. I got a little phlegm in the back.
Allergy season's coming upon us too, gentlemen. So
Yeah, that's another
Oh,
thing.
it's here for me. So
Who knows?
It's
The
not
weather's
just-
been hot and cold, so who the hell knows what I got?
soundbite I keep thinking about is, it's not just about you, douchebag. Not you, Mark. I mean, in general, it's not just stay home. I saw all those people on the beach. I was like, just nuke it. Nuke the beach.
if we only could.
So
Uh,
the Stadium Journey podcast has got it right. This is how you practice social distancing.
Yeah, this is not.
I mean, Dan, you and Paul are a little close together there. How many miles are you apart? Not nearly as much as the rest of us.
Hundreds.
Well,
We are several states in between us.
you know what's funny? I mean, I'm working from home right now, which that's kind of hard to do as a teacher. But we met through the Zoom platform yesterday. So yesterday my department chair talked to us, and there was about 10 of us on here. And I'm thinking, wow, I feel like I'm about to do a podcast, but we're not talking about sports.
Yeah, all my meetings at work now are done by Zoom, and the fact that I work in a hospital makes it tough. I've got to go meet with patients all day long, but I'm not allowed to run any groups anymore. So part of my job was to run groups, and sometimes I'll have 10, 20 people in a group. Can't do that now. Small groups only. But I want to get us back on since this is a sports topic, I want to get us back onto sports. But one of the big things, and I want to just close our preaching, if you will, section with this. A lot of the debate was, are we overreacting to this whole crisis? The point is, we're never going to know if what we're doing, if all the steps that we're taking now was an overreaction, or if it helped contain the spread of the virus and save lives. But if it's an underreaction, we're going to know that pretty damn soon. So anyway, Mark, I wanted to touch on something, because the only sports parallel that I could really think of, and you mentioned this, I think, in one of your articles, you've continued to crank out the news articles.
I got nothing else to do.
The 1919 Stanley Cup Finals got canceled because of an outbreak of influenza, right? And I think you mentioned this. That's why I wanted to go to you with this.
Well, yeah, actually, Stephen Key mentioned that, and I edited his work, but he brought this up well before the NBA and every other league shut down. And as I'm editing his work, I'm like, oh my God, Steve, what are you talking about here? But I kind of understand where he was coming from. And then a couple of days later, dang, we're going to have a lot of leagues canceling. So the 1919 Stanley Cup was played between the Seattle Metropolitans, which better be the name of the new NHL team,
The
and
Kraken.
the Montreal.
Kraken.
Well, that's not official. Anyway, the Montreal
Oh, it's not
Canadiens.
official? I thought it was.
No, not official yet. The Montreal Canadiens, and they were about to play a decisive Game 6. Back then, it was a best of 5. One of the games was tied because it kept going to so many overtimes. And back then, they were playing by West Coast Hockey League or the Western Professional Hockey League rules, where they had a rover. So they had 7 guys. So one game you would play with 5, 6-on-6, other times 7-on-7. And they're about to play this game in Seattle, the decisive game. And about 5 hours before, they canceled it because Montreal had too many sick players. And one of those guys wound up dying later on. And what I didn't know is that Seattle was actually offered the Stanley Cup. They said, well, Montreal forfeits. You're the winner. They said, no, we didn't win this fair out. So as a kid, I always looked at the 1990, Spanish flu. I'm like, well, what the heck was this all about? How did it cancel a Stanley Cup? It was just so shocking to me. But here we are living history again. We're going to, if there was a Stanley Cup being played at this moment, that probably would be canceled as well. And it has wiped out smaller leagues like the Southern Professional Hockey League,
where you have lots of fans.
Where I have lots of fans because Peoria was ranked number 1 and Evansville ranked number 5. But you guys got other things to worry about. It's knocked out the ECHL. It knocked out the Federal Hockey League.
It may end up knocking out the big leagues.
We may not have a Stanley Cup again because of that. And besides the strike of a few years ago, and the pandemic of Spanish flu of 1919, only times we haven't had one since 1893.
Go ahead, Dave.
Well, this will mess with your head a little bit. So you guys are talking about the Stanley Cup of 1919. 1919 only means one thing to me, really. And interesting you're wearing that hat. It's the Black Sox. Biggest scandal.
That is true, both years.
2020 is the year of the coronavirus. 2020 is also the year for the exposure of the Houston Astros. Connection?
Whoa, dude.
That'll mess with your head.
I saw a meme online. Somebody was linking all of the canceled championships to Toronto sports. Like in 1918, the Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup. 1919, no cup awarded. 92, 93, the Jays won.
Yep.
No Stanley Cup in 94.
No World
Raptors
Series
win it last year. No Stanley Cup this year. It's Toronto's fault.
Well, yeah, and you've got the Stanley Cup being awarded to the NBA champion, the Major League Baseball champion, and the NHL champion.
Oh, wow.
Hey, sometimes those connections are not, strong. Sometimes they're a little more flimsy. So yeah, the other parallel I could think of was when 9/11 happened, and this was a much smaller scale because it shut down sports for a couple of weeks, and a lot of the minor leagues were going through their championships at the time, and so all the baseball minor leagues declared co-champions.
Yeah, 2001. Yeah,
and everybody else kind of waited, and in a few weeks, they resumed their season. So it was a minor disruption. This one has the potential. I mean, the CDC is saying no large gatherings for up to 8 weeks right now. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
If you listen to the 8 weeks, you might get might get it back on 9 weeks. But do whatever you want.
Well, I mean, the Kentucky Derby's not going to be raced until what they say August, September now.
Yeah, a lot of things are getting put off to the fall.
So some things will be postponed, which will be odd, but that's fine. Watching a horse race a few months later than it's supposed to be.
As long as I die after I see the new Ghostbusters, I don't give a damn.
When's that coming out?
July.
Well,
they're even delaying the release of movies right now.
See what Universal's doing?
No, what is Universal doing?
Universal's releasing the movies for video on demand for $20 for 48 hours, as if it was a movie on their dates they were released in theaters. Columbia, Sony, give me Ghostbusters. I need that first, and then I'll die without a whimper.
I can die happy. So we're talking about big picture how this may affect certain sports. and Dave, I'm directing this one mainly at you. How has this affected you personally?
Oh, me personally? Outside of my trip that I should be on right now.
Wow. Yeah,
Oh.
that's tough when it happens
Well-
right at the start.
So take us into what happens when you've got a big trip, and you were going to Colorado, right?
Yep.
Oh.
And like 48 hours before, 72 hours before you were supposed to leave, boom, now you're not going.
Yeah. So today was the day we were supposed to leave. We were supposed to fly out of Detroit today, land in Denver about 12:30 Mountain Time, and then plenty of time to hit the Avalanche game tonight. It was Avalanche tonight, Denver Nuggets, and the Clippers tomorrow. Thursday, I was kind of crossing my fingers for one of those other basketball tournaments, the NIT or the CBI or whatever, because they're all played at home gyms. So I was kind of crossing my fingers for something just to sort of fall in our lap there. Friday was going to be Colorado Mammoth, and then Saturday
Colorado Mammoth.
we were going to go to the Colorado Rapids and probably stop and do like a college thing, like maybe some softball or lacrosse or something. So, you could sense this was coming, right? And once the NBA canceled their season, postponed their season, it became clear that it was just going to be dominoes. Funny enough, the whole trip is centered around going to the Avalanche, and the NHL was the last one. So
That made me laugh, by the way, the NHL. Of course, Bettman. Yeah, I guess
But-
we'll.
you know what? Too much of who was first and who was last and whatever.
All
whatever.
should have been first.
It didn't matter.
Well,
You know, like,
if you think about it,
all should have been first. So
if you think about socially, the NBA has always been much more progressive than the other leagues, so it's not a surprise that they pulled the trigger quickly and the NHL kind of waited. That's traditionally
I'm petty.
how they
Any
kinda
chance
handle
I get
social
to make
issues,
fun
I
of Gary Bettman, I'll do it.
And it wasn't like there was a whole whack of games that were played after that. So
Yeah.
too much is made of that.
Yep.
But anyway, we came to the decision that we weren't going, and then that was when you come to that decision and you buy on Expedia, you have to come in thinking, okay, I'm out that $1,400, right?
Yeah.
Now I will say this. I dropped my daughter off Saturday morning at work. She works at the Crack of Stupid. So I was back in the home office at about 20 after 7 in the morning. Sat at the computer, do some stuff while I had Expedia on the speakerphone there. I think I was on hold for about an hour and a half. And then they helped me out probably for another 45 minutes, and then we were done. And I got credits for all my flights, which is fine because I'm assuming that we're ever going to be able to travel again. We'll use them, and I got all of my money back from my hotel. So silver lining, that was good. But and I'm sure you guys are feeling the same way. I mean, this is March break for me. It doesn't feel like a break. It feels like I'm grounded. Like after you did something really stupid when you're a kid and you get grounded for a week and you're just sitting there. And social media is less interesting because it's all about the virus, and you can only take so much. TV is all about the virus. I've watched way too many press conferences with the prime minister from his home because his wife has got the virus. And the premier, I won't watch the president because that'll just get me frustrated. But it's way too serious. I don't know. It feels very anxious for this break, and knowing that my school is closed for another 2 weeks after this. So what are those 2 weeks going to look like? I don't know. Am I going to be expected to do something? I don't know. I've been told I can't go into school. I'm not allowed to go into school. So we'll see. But yeah, thankful I got all my money back. But this was a big one. My daughter is 17 and working now, and we figured that this was going to be the last of the March break road warriors. So it's a little emotional too, because we've been going every March break since she was 2, and then my wife came on a couple, and when Jackson came along, he came as well, and yeah, it's the end of an era, but not with the big bang, but more like a little whimper. So.
You're on mute.
Mark, you muted.
Mark is muted.
So sorry about that. Was muted. So to me, it's like you got the next 3 weeks off, but all the sports leagues are going to be canceled. There's going to be no stadiums to go to watch a game. There's going to be no new stadiums opening up. They'll be delayed. Whatever you plan for the summer, that's going to be delayed. You just have to stay home. Because even my mom said, why don't you come out to New Jersey? Because airfare is cheap, or I can just drive out there. But I don't even
Not
want
getting on a plane.
I don't even want to do that. I don't even want to fly on a plane, no matter if it's $50. But yeah, it's odd. It's like this kind of reminds me of some summers where I don't have anything planned, and then after a couple of weeks I start going nuts. So I'm not there yet, but I don't want to be a month from now going crazy, like, oh my God, I got to get out of here. But
Yeah.
I'm preparing myself for that, and I know it's for the good of man. So I just need to shut up. There'll be other baseball seasons if it doesn't happen this year. And if I have to go to a game in August, I go to a game in August. I mean, that's not the end of the world. So to me, it's a kind of like a break. But darn well, once one of those seasons opens up, we're all going to be out there celebrating. So
Oh, no kidding.
let's
Yeah, that's
just,
been the hardest
for that.
part, has been the disruption in the routine. Like this weekend was so nice in my corner of the country, and I had a triple header of lacrosse games planned. I could actually have done 3 very easily. And like, all right, let's go. Wait, I can't. All right, so what am I going to do instead? Let's go out to eat. Oh no, wait, I can't do that. How about a movie? No, can't go do that either. So that's been the biggest adjustment for me. But yeah, like you said, Mark, we got to pitch in, and this is the reality. So it's either do it or be one of the what did you call him before, Dan?
Dick McMunch.
Yeah, I don't want to be a Dick McMunch. Yeah.
So one thing, and I'm a little disappointed in this because we probably skipped over this part a bit. There were plans to do all of these games in empty arenas. They were going to do March Madness in empty arenas, right? That's another thing that's missing. Like I don't have a brackets follow right now. It's very strange. But I really wanted to know what the ratings were going to be like for those games that were empty. Me personally, I think they would start high, and then I think they were going to fall off.
Yeah.
Because that, I think the atmosphere brings a lot. And I did catch some of the Italian soccer, the Serie A, when they played, and it was bizarre.
Mm.
It was just strange, and not that I watch a lot of Italian soccer anyway, but I was definitely not interested in hanging around on that one.
Yeah, you're right. We did kind of gloss over that because at first leagues had made contingency plans. Well, okay, so we can't have a big gather. We can't have 15,000 or more people here. Let's try playing it without any people. And then that quickly died. And I don't think that would have worked either, because take the NBA, for example. We were talking about Rudy Gobert. If somebody's positive, you're probably not going to know it. You're out there sweating and running and rubbing up against each other during a game. Instead of one guy who's been contaminated, now you've got 24. So really, that was a very imperfect solution.
Are there any
that leagues moved quickly away from that?
Are there any leagues operating right now with no fans, or is everything shut down? I haven't been able to really research that.
I think I saw on our Discord channel for the writers that there's a low-level English soccer league still going. but that kind of backfired too, because now everybody who was jonesing for a game went and saw them, and instead of having, a few dozen people, they ended up with thousands.
Yeah. Well, I
So-
mean, because here's the thing. Remember a few years ago when the baseball season opened and you had like 30 people at the White Sox game because it was like -2 and snowing? So, I mean, I've been at games where there's no one around you. So, I mean, that's not that odd to watch. I've seen some low-level spring football leagues with nobody there, and I've seen a lot of minor league games with very few fans. I mean, my first game I went to as a kid in Florida had maybe about 12 people in there. So that was not shocking. I think I think what I was interested in seeing was how everybody would have reacted to it. I think if you had your bracket, you would have been very focused on it. But yeah, that was an option even with the high school basketball tournament here in Indiana. They were going to limit participants to 300 per arena. And like I said earlier in the show, the athletic director actually sent me a message and told me not to come. And I said, yeah, you're right. I'm not coming either. And that was still at the time when, you still had restaurants and movie theaters and gyms and libraries open. I mean, that has changed. And that's only a few days ago.
Right.
So when the conference basketball tournaments were going on, Canadian University hockey championships were going on as well. And they were out, the men were playing out in Halifax. And they got through the quarterfinals. And then that tournament was killed. Now, the one that kept going right through the weekend was the Canadian University Curling Championships.
Nice.
Now they were in Manitoba. I forget what the town is. It's not a university town. It was I think it's in northern Manitoba.
Kenora.
No, that's
that's Ontario.
That's in Ontario, actually.
Yeah, that's you're right. You're right.
So I did watch some of it because what else was on? Nothing. And it looked like it was in front of nobody. Probably just family and school personnel kind of thing. And Laurier Golden Hawks curling national championship for the men. Go Hawks! But yeah, I mean, curling's a little bit different. It's not exactly like the big roar of the crowd spectator sport kind of thing.
So I guess as we start to wind down this discussion, the next logical question is, what happens next? Like this, I think this break is going to do irreparable harm to a lot of the smaller leagues out there.
It is.
Minor leagues in whatever sport. I think the college sports will recover because they're endowed by the universities and such. The major leagues are going to be fine, but how about all the and we're all in this panel. We're all big minor league sports fans. So what do you think this is going to do to them? Our colleague Lloyd Rothwell, right before we started, gave me a tweet. He said that the estimated cost for the major leagues, now this is just NBA, NHL, NFL, Major League Baseball, NASCAR, they're going to lose over $5 billion in ticket sales and rights fees and television fees and so forth. I know a lot of small leagues are not going to recover from even a fraction of that. Now, just a little personal, I asked Dave, how does this affect you? The biggest way this shutdown affected me is the day before the Boston Pride were scheduled to play in the Isabel Cup final, got the email, we're postponing the game. Now, the NWHL has since said, we will have the final. Next season's not till October. So we may end up having the final in September, but we're going to have it, which is going to be really strange, but that's another topic for another day. So what do you guys think the fallout's going to be from shutting down sports for months at a time?
I think we're going to see some teams fold. I mean, the Great Depression, we saw the original Ottawa Senators, I believe. That was one of the reasons why they folded. And we're already seeing talk of that. The Fayetteville Marksmen of the SPHL are saying they're taking a hit that could wipe them out for good. I'm looking at teams that just started. I'm looking at the XFL that, they claim that they're going to pay everybody, and they probably are. I'm not saying that's a lie. But it's like-
Freddie Mac.
Like, dang, it's like, like how is a first year operation going to take a hit that's funded by one person? So, we have teams scrapping for equipment and on shoestring budgets. I'm thinking of the Federal Hockey League, some of those teams in there. They better
Well,
have
that's
some-
nothing new in the federal
Yeah.
league. They lose half their teams every year anyway.
I mean, I'm thinking about the Battle Creek Rumblebees, who I got a buddy from Jersey, he's a GM out there. I tried talking to him about that. He didn't say anything to me. So, you're right. You're expected to fill out your season with your sponsorships, with your tickets, all that money that you were supposed to take in. Now you're losing. It could wipe you out, because how much longer can you survive not functioning a business, sitting on season ticket holders' money that you can either refund or use towards tickets next year, which is the best option to do. We're going to see a lot of teams come and go, unfortunately.
I think so. Yeah, Dave.
Well, you look at let's assume that all of these big guys are postponing and not canceling. You're gonna have a logjam, a serious logjam, come the summer, right? So I would say right away, a league like the National Lacrosse League, I would think that they're gonna cancel their season. I don't think they will be postponing. I think that they're gonna end up being done.
Well,
And
a quick
with
thing with
that-
lacrosse too, Dave. I'm sorry. I want to just cut you off real quick. With lacrosse, basically you got the indoor season ends and then the outdoor season starts. So if indoor backs up, you've only got a lot of those players play both leagues. You're not
Yeah.
going to be able to have two leagues at the same time.
Yeah, National Lacrosse League for sure. Like I would say 90% of those guys, they either go on and play outdoor after, or they go and they play in the summer indoor leagues, right?
You got two leagues.
How is that going to work? Even if they try and just postpone it, there's not going to be enough arena time.
Right.
Like these arenas book concerts and stuff for the summers. The WNBA is predicated on the idea that arenas are empty in the summer. Women play in Europe in the winter, and they're free in the summer. So what happens when they come back and there's no time for that league in whatever those arenas are? Or suddenly you are fighting for attention. So what are the baseball ratings going to look like when hockey playoffs are happening or basketball playoffs are happening in July?
Good point.
It's going to be
Cornucopia.
it's going to be uncharted waters for sure. And when you're talking about the amount of money that teams are losing, the NBA had something in the contracts where what did they call it? They called it the doomsday clause or something like that, where the owners could decide not to pay the players based on some catastrophic event, which I think this would fall into. Now, it is being reported that the owners will not use that. But here's another thing that's happening. So there's all of this talk about players who are going to chip in and help arena workers
You went where I was going to go. Okay, thanks.
with their salary, which is great. There's owners who have said, we're going to do this. All of the teams in Toronto have got together and are putting together a fund, which is fine. But what happens to a team like the Calgary Flames? Rightly or wrongly, I don't know how true this is, but earlier on, not reports, but social media had said the Calgary Flames were going to lay off everybody and they're not going to pay anybody, right? Well, 2 days ago, the Calgary Flames made an announcement that they were paying people. Now, is that misinformation? So now the Calgary Flames are going to have to, come back from this PR disaster. which maybe was their doing and maybe wasn't their doing. So one of the things that's really challenging in all this is, unfortunately, we have become social media news receivers. So we go to Twitter for our news, we go to Facebook for our news, we go to Instagram for our news, instead of, 20 years ago when we went to the television for our news, and Tom Brokaw and Peter Mansbridge, or
Peter
the
Mansbridge.
newspaper or whatever.
In Ottawa.
All of a sudden, some guy who just decides to write something like the Calgary Flames are not paying anybody, and somebody else sees this and says, "Oh, that's terrible. I'm going to retweet that." And suddenly, thousands of people have retweeted this information, which I'm not sure is true. Maybe is true. There's a PR battle there that has to be fought as well.
This is the time that we've been doing this show is the most I've checked social media in a day, in a week. I don't go on. I deleted it from my phone. And was using the web version just to check on things right while we're doing the show. I don't trust anybody, but as far as the coronavirus, I don't trust anybody except unless it's coming from the CDC or the World Health Organization. Anybody can type in numbers and go, here are the numbers, and then you read the other numbers, and you're like, well, that doesn't. So I can't, because I have severe anxiety and depression. I had to get off that because I was going to jump off I was legitimately going to jump off the balcony.
Been telling you that for years, Dan.
I had to. I can't do it. This week, my grandmother died, and we don't know when we're having the funeral because we can't. And that's why it's just like, I don't give a damn. I don't care. I just want to wake up the next morning, and get to sleep the next day. I do feel that I think the ECHL screwed. If there's not an affiliation, you're definitely screwed. The AHL, I don't know how monetarily independent the juniors are up in Canada. I don't know if they're going to be covered or saved or not, but as well as in sports, there is a great interview, and I forget this gentleman's last name, and I meant to look it up so I could bring the specific point up. There's an interview, and it's with Joe Rogan. Erase your ideas of Joe Rogan. Go look at this interview with he's a disease expert. He was on this. He's reported to Trump. He's reported to Obama and one or two other administrations in his career. We are going to get through this. Our lives are going to be inconvenienced for a while. We are going to get through it. But with the internet, and we can see that money can just amazingly appear out of nowhere, especially in the United States, some S is going to change. Because people are just not going to be, wait a minute. What? You're all lying to us. Just fundamentally, sports and our lives there's going to be a new normal as I scratch my eye and spread the disease. There's going to be a new normal after all this. And I don't know if minor league hockey or baseball. Jesus. There's a whole other there's our next podcast. Somebody do some research on the MILB and figure out who's going to survive this crap. Because
they already had. Remember, beginning of the year, there was the talk of contracting teams.
Oh, so this is all a conspiracy by baseball to get rid of the minor league teams they want to downsize.
Double whammy. That. Yeesh.
We just gotta be smarter about it, everybody. I'm trying to keep it to sports, but I can't focus. I got other stuff going on.
You mentioned the juniors. I'm pretty confident that the juniors are on solid ground.
Good.
Mainly for the same reasons that the the colleges are going to be good, right? Like the expense for players is not that high, right? They get an honorarium, or not an honorarium. They get a stipend. They get an education package, but those expenses aren't huge. in the grand scheme of things. You know, the travel, now that you're not going, you know, you're not going to get revenue at the gate for that trip to wherever, London, whatever, but you're also not going to have the expense to go there. What probably is a little worrisome is the season was set to end this week. So regular season games are not going to miss a lot. Playoffs, like every other sport's a whole different ball game, right? Like that's all bonus money, right? And you're going to see those big guns, the NBA, the NHL, they are not going to give up their playoffs. They don't. I'm positive they won't care if it rolls into like Labor Day and the opening week of Super Bowl. They are not going to give up their playoffs because that's where they make their money.
I'm okay with that. I just don't care right now. I just want everybody at every level, at every facet of every sport and every business to just get through to the other side. I will say this, right before we went on the air, I saw a video from Matthew McConaughey and I was fired up. I was like, yeah, you're right. We're going to be okay. Let's kick some ass and let's hunker down and we can all have sex after. Not you guys. Not with you guys. We're going to.
Social distancing.
I mean,
so some of us can social distance and have sex.
a couple of drinks and a sandwich and I'll be, yeah.
Oh, on that note, I think it's time to wrap things up. Thanks, everybody, for listening. I hope we haven't depressed you. I hope we have informed and entertained you. So, Kelly, I know you were only with us for like a minute or two, but thanks for joining us. And for our listeners who would like to follow her on social media, you can find her at Sked Central. Dan, how about you? Where can our listeners follow you?
I just wanted to add also that the Phillies, the only thing I did care about is the Phillies contract dispute with JT Realmuto. The arguably not, he is the best catcher in baseball, have paused.
Future Met.
Yeah, sure, might as well be. Can't you keep screwing everything else up? Why don't you let JT Realmuto go kill everybody? Follow me at DanLow83. Hey, Tom Brady's not a pad anymore.
Nope, that's going to be weird.
Oh, that's so sad. 20 years of success, and everybody's like, "Oh, I feel bad for Boston." Who cares? He got 6 rings.
It's what you do when you're a quarterback. Joe Namath went to the Rams.
Randall
Joe
Cunningham
Montana went to the
Johnny Unitas went to the Chargers.
Yep.
Martin Brodeur went to
It's just what
St.
quarterbacks
Louis.
do at the end.
Yeah,
And we're gonna suck, and Tampa's gonna suck, and everybody's gonna suck.
you're gonna win watch you win another Super Bowl this
Bobby,
year.
No,
Bobby
not this
Orr
year. We were circling the drain. Anybody who watched the Patriots at the end of last year saw that team got old in a hurry.
It's not going to be the Eagles. Anybody see that crap?
Bobby
Anyway.
Orr Blackhawks.
So, Mark, where can our listeners follow you on social media?
Well, I will still be writing articles. I have plenty of video content that I have to create and put up. So Instagram and Ballpark Hunter. I also want to give a shout out to a hometown friend of mine, Jason. Valitudo Strong, Team Jason. Get well. We're pulling for you.
Uh,
All right, Dave, how about you? Social media, presence, go.
At Profan9 on Twitter and Instagram. I am going to actually, and I'm dead serious, I'm going to write a book review or maybe 3 to put up on the website. And I do have a couple of old reviews that need to get kicked into gear. But other than that,
I just finished a ranking list, so look for that next week, the NCAA hockey ranking list. And
Do another SPHL one?
The
folks from
SPHL.
Central New York are not going to be happy. You know what's funny about our ranking list, really quickly, is it's the little ranking list that people give us the most crap over.
I tell you.
People don't complain a whole lot when we do like a Major League Baseball one or stuff. You don't get a whole lot of blowback.
No.
But when we do, the nastiest comment I ever got was when I did a Cape Cod League ranking list.
But rightfully so.
Yeah, so it's just funny.
No, and I'm sorry. I want to add one more thing to the one gentleman that keeps giving me, grief about the SPHL ranking. I know you didn't read the Evansville ranking. I'm not going to tell you why I know. I know you didn't read it.
Because he's ADD?
So, I gave that a really great review, and I'm sorry it didn't get a 5, but you're right. It's a great building. It's probably the best building in the league, but 2,000 fans go to games there. So it's not going to be the best.
You should tell them what my reaction was when I heard about this whole scrum.
Here's my
There's an
reaction.
SPHL?
Yeah,
There's a-
you can direct all your anger to @danlaw83. What a bunch of whiny bitches in that group. Jesus Christ. I don't care how mad you are. Don't be mad at Dave. Don't be mad at Mark. Don't be mad at Paul. Dan said that. Kiss my ass. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. I couldn't believe the reaction.
My
And-
God.
I mean, and then- Evansville's ranked 5th. How dare you?
The part that cracked me up about that was you could tell they didn't go to the buildings.
Oh, yeah.
They used stock photos.
Yeah, this guy didn't step 100 miles to the Ford Center. Yes, I drove 3 hours to the Ford Center, took a picture after a college game, and drove back to Indy. You idiots. When I went to the hockey game, it was dark outside, so I used the daytime picture. Who cares if it was Aces fans? You morons. Open up the review. I have 15 pictures. I even put more in there.
These are the same people that bought 400 pounds of toilet paper for coronavirus.
Well, the guy's probably still got 4. Yeah, you're right. So
I know his chair is made out of soft ones with 2-ply.
Too
I
many
said it. I
brains.
don't care. I don't care. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever read. They're just oh my God. Oh my God.
Their complaints didn't make sense.
The only group that was worse is the people that cry about Mean Monday on AHL fans. Oh my God. It's been the same thing for 2 years. Paul, please cancel the show. Close the show out. I swear to God.
I'm trying.
We're done.
Follow me at PuckmanRI. Check out our website. Check out all our reviews, even our Evansville hockey review. That's StadiumJourney.com. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Stadium
Put a
Journey.
negative review.
You know what? Yeah, you don't agree with what we said? Make your own damn review.
It got a good review.
Check out the Stadium Journey podcast and all of HIAC Talk Radio's other great content at thebradyhicks.com. Watch our podcast on YouTube at youtube.com/danlaw83. Follow HIAC Talk Radio at where else? HIAC Talk Radio. In 2 weeks, we're going to do another show. We don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but we'll figure something out. We'll talk about our walks around the neighborhood, our trip to the grocery store, mowing the lawn. Who knows? Maybe. And you know what? I'm gonna do a Jerry moment to close this show. So while we're all on quarantine, just remember, take this time to remember why you fell in love with sports, man. We didn't all start loving sports because we went to a Boston Celtics game and sat there with 16,000 other people. Take some time to play catch with somebody. Social distancing, 6 feet apart, perfect for playing catch. Go shoot some hoops. Go back to your roots. Fall back in love with sports. I'm Jerry Springer, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.